Hi guys, I'm Erin. If you can't tell by my bright red hair and tragically pale skin, I'm rather Irish. On top of that, I am the third of 7 children, so we really nailed that Irish Catholic stereotype. Even worse, we all look alike. So when we were growing up, we'd be traveling around with my mom, you know, like going grocery shopping, doing errands with her, and everybody knew in my town who we were because it was just this gaggle of small red-headed children following around my mom everywhere she went. So no matter where we went, if we were alone, if we were together, everyone knew who we were. So it was kind of like being in a gang. Really though, because like you're in it for life, you know, and we had all sorts of like weird initiations or like, you know, like tests of loyalty, you know, like every so often we'd have to go like kill someone of like a rivaling family. No, we didn't really do that, but we did like tell my youngest sister for about 5 years that she was adopted, and it was pretty bad. Like she looked just like us. I don't know why she leave us, but I personally took it upon myself to like she's, you know, considerably younger than me, and I would go hide in her closet right before she went to bed, and like just as she was falling asleep, I'd like pop out. So for about like a couple years afterwards, she probably did like a sweep of her room to make sure I wasn't in it before she went to bed. And my mom was like our like reluctant like leader. You know, she had to make sure that we were like showered, that we brushed our teeth, that we were like ready to go out the door every day. And I always like look at the parents who have their kids on child leashes. And I'm pretty sure that my mom's worst nightmare is being tethered to a bunch of like screaming small children. It was like driving around with my mom, it was like she had one eye on the road and then she had like the rear view mirror set so she could see us in the back to like make sure we weren't killing each other, more or less. So like like a little bit about my mom, she grew up with a father who was a drill sergeant for the Marines, so she was like pretty strict, and you know, she did her best to make sure that we were always like ready to roll, and like, you know, that we were like pleasant in public, and we'd be sitting down in restaurants, and we'd have like little old ladies come up to us and like compliment my mom and say like, oh, your children are so well behaved, and she would like crack some joke like, oh, well, you don't have to live with them, and then they'd laugh and like the little old lady would walk away, but like my mom really wanted to finish that sentence with like, seriously, like take them away from me right now. But like when we were in public, we were super well behaved, you know, like we were like well mannered, well dressed, like everyone was clean. My mom sent out like an annual Christmas card to all of our relatives and like family friends, and it's, you know, a bunch of like red-headed children in like embarrassing like matching sweaters, and like everyone's like, oh, that's adorable, but like what nobody really realized is about like 5 seconds before this picture was taken and like immediately following it was like somebody was hysterically crying every single time. It was usually me, but like she'd bribe us with something like, you know, like I'll take you to Toys R Us, you know. But as soon as we got home, it was like, you know, like Lord of the Flies, like strict Lord of the Flies, like every single time. And you know, like we'd be like playing like board games together, and it was like basically like a bloodbath every single time we played a board game together. Particularly, I don't know if I ever learned the appropriate rules for like Monopoly, because it was like a really twisted, corrupt Monopoly world that we lived in. And like we were like under the table like money deals and like lines and score. So like I don't know if I ever learned how to play it properly, but like it was a bunch of like little small. We had enough kids to play every single game you can possibly imagine, which was awesome. But we were all like, we had like that, like, you know, like angry Irish temperament, and we were all like really competitive, so like no game ever ended well. And like we were competitive about like weird stuff too. Like my brother stabbed my sister in the arm with a pencil because she put his juicy juice straw in the juice box for him, and he wanted to do it. So like, what I grew up with, like, it was. So, but like as we got older, we got a lot more like passive aggressive with like how we fought with each other. And my sister Megan, and she's 15 months younger than me, and we were the two biggest offenders by far because, you know, like, we had the same friends, we did all the same things, so, like, we were just, like fighting all the time, and we'd, like, drive my mom crazy. And, like, when we were little, you know, like, she would just open the door for us to go outside and, like, play in the yard in the summer, and it started, like, at the beginning of the summer, she'd be like, don't hit your brother, be careful around the pool, and, like, by the end of the summer, we just, like, totally wore her out to the point where she was just like, if a ball rolls in the middle of the street, like, run after it with your eyes closed, you know, like, we were, like, there was only so much my mom could do to, like, keep us at bay, and, like, the older we got, like, the worse we got, because, like, we were, like, scheming, like, we were, like, it just got, like a little, like, evil. So I called a couple of my younger siblings, and I was like, hey, do you remember any particularly embarrassing stories? And in my family's fashion, they responded, Erin, your entire life's embarrassing. I'm like, okay, like, fair enough. So I was thinking about it, and there are two things that my family is really awesome at. One, being there when, like, you really need them, like, a really major way. And two, just being assholes. Like, so my embarrassing story combines both of those things. But anyway, okay. So let me just, like, preface this by saying that, like, not only am I one of 7 children, but my mom is one of 5, and my dad is one of 8. So, like, we just, like, breed like crazy. So when I was 17, my paternal grandmother died, and you know, it was sad and, like, somber, and she was like, you know, her house is where we all went on Christmas. Like, my dad's entire side of the family, like a bajillion, like imagine, like, 8 siblings, and then, like, imagine, like, all of them had, like, at least 5 children, and then they're all running around, they're, like, relatively the same age. Like, it was a nightmare. So, like, that was our Christmas, and, like, I always remember, like, my grandma's house, and it was, you know, like, it was an awesome time, and, like, those were some of my favorite memories growing up. And so it was really sad when she passed away, and so, like, we're all sitting at my grandmother's wake, and it's me and, like, all of 800,000 of my cousins in this big circle, and like, you know, we're catching up, because, like, we live all over the place, and, you know, we're telling stories about our family, and then, like, after a while, like, you know, it starts to get, like, kind of, like, quiet, you know, and I'm just, like, sitting there and reflecting, and I realized we're late for a wake, you know, and so eventually I have to ask, you know. And I, like, in the back of my head, like, I know it's about me. Like, you know when it's about you, and it's, like, everyone in this room that, like, you've known your entire life sitting there staring at you, laughing at you. So I finally, like, ask. I'm like, what's everyone laughing at? And they just laugh even harder. And, like, one of my older sisters eventually, like, leans in, and she tells me why they're laughing. And it apparently had something to do with a fight that me and my sister Megan had gotten into long before this moment where, like, you know, we're at a wake. So I will never remember what this fight was about. For the rest of my life, I have no idea. Much like most of the fights with my siblings, but, like, I will never forget what she did to me. So I'm sitting there. My older sister leans in and tells me that my younger sister Megan, 2 months before this moment, had peed in my face wash. She had peed in my face wash. Allowed me to use it for 2 months. Didn't say a word to anybody until right then. That's the first time she brought it up. So, like, I'm sitting there, I'm getting really angry, and it's so embarrassing because everybody in this room knew before I did. Every single human being I know. You know, and we have lots of, like, super embarrassing stories, like, legendary stories. Like, I strapped the electric dog fence collar on my sister when she was 5. And I, like, shoved her through. And she was so startled that she turned around and she came right back through and got shocked again. Those are, like, the moments we remember as being children. But this is, like, we're talking, like, I'm 17, she's 16, right? She peed in my face wash. Use it for 2 months, and then proceeded to let everyone we know about it at my grandmother's wake. So, like, not only am I embarrassed, you know, not only can I not launch myself across the room and, like, strangle her to her grandmother's wake, but her body best my skin had ever looked.